Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a huge proposal from the European Commission that's set to shake up the entire world of medical devices in the EU. Seriously, this is the biggest potential change to the medical device regulation, the MDR, since it first rolled out, and you're going to want to know what's inside.
So, is the EU finally listening? For years, pretty much everyone in MedTech has been talking about the massive administrative headache of the MDR. Well, now there's an actual simplification plan on the table. It's supposed to ease that burden, but without cutting corners on patient safety. So the big question is, what does this proposal really mean for you and your day-to-day?
Okay, so this proposal, COM 2025-1023, is a classic good news, bad news story. On one hand, it's offering some much-needed flexibility, but on the other, it's introducing some pretty significant new challenges. It's a real balancing act. So let's break it down, starting with the good stuff. First up, let's talk about the changes designed to lighten your load. These are the parts of the proposal that are a direct answer to all that industry feedback, aiming to make the whole regulatory process just a little less painful. Okay, this one is a big deal and probably a huge sigh of relief for a lot of you. We're talking about surveillance audits. Right now, it's every 12 months. The new rule? For established manufacturers with a good track record, your notified body can now push that out to every 24 months. That could cut your audit frequency and the cost that go with it in half. That's huge. And that's part of a bigger picture here, making your life with notified bodies a whole lot more efficient. We're talking about rolling reviews, so you can submit documents as they're ready, predetermined plans for small changes so you don't get bogged down. Remote audits are now officially on the table. And notified bodies are now required to use evidence from past assessments to avoid making you do the same work over and over. The proposal also throws you a lifeline on the clinical evidence side of things. There's a new provision, Article 6110, that basically creates a formal pathway for you to justify why a full-blown clinical investigation isn't necessary for certain devices. Think lower-risk products that use technology that's been around forever. This could save you an enormous amount of time and money. And here's another key point. Your technical documentation can now officially include results from some pretty advanced non-clinical methods. Things like in silico testing, we're talking computer simulations, and computational modeling. Getting these officially recognized is a game changer. It can mean less reliance on expensive and time-consuming traditional lab or animal tests for some of your devices. Okay, so beyond those burden-reducing tweaks, this proposal has two absolute game changers that you need to be thinking about right now. These are the kinds of shifts that could fundamentally reshape your strategy. The first one is a total rewrite of Rule 11. You know, the rule that decides how your medical software gets classified. And I don't mean a small adjustment. This is a complete overhaul. If you make software as a medical device, you're going to have to go back and reassess your entire product line. Now look closely at this table because the new vocabulary is everything. The classification now comes down to two things: the patient's health situation, is it critical, serious, or non-serious, and the software's role. And notice that brand new distinction between driving a clinical decision versus just informing one. That subtle difference in wording is going to have a massive impact on your software's classification. And game changer number 2, Udamed, is finally happening. For real this time. After all the delays, the timeline is now locked in. Starting in May 2026, 4 of the main modules become mandatory. Your absolute first step? Get your actor registration done so you can get your single registration number, or SRN. If you don't have that, you are completely locked out of the system. These deadlines are not suggestions. Right, but like we said at the beginning, all this new flexibility comes at a price. The proposal isn't just about making things easier, it's also adding new layers of scrutiny in a few really important areas. Let's dig into those new hurdles. This is really the other side of the coin. The Commission is basically saying, sure, we'll reduce some of the red tape, but in return, you need to step up your game on things like cybersecurity and transparency. It's all about making sure patient safety standards keep getting better. A huge new obligation is the major focus on cybersecurity. This is a big step up from what's required now. You're going to need to document detailed minimum standards for your hardware and IT networks. And your technical documentation has to get way more specific about how you're protecting against unauthorized access. Scrutiny is also getting a boost from what you might call radical transparency. If an expert panel flags a concern with your device, your notified body has to give that opinion utmost consideration. And here's the kicker.
The panel's opinion and your notified body's final justification are going to be published on UDMed for everyone to read.
And one last thing, if your whole regulatory strategy relies on claiming your device is equivalent to another one on the market, well, that's about to get a lot harder. The bar for biological equivalence is being raised. You'll now need a much deeper analysis of what your materials are made of, including things like degradation products and leachables. Basically, what does the material break down into over time, and what might seep out? Just being similar isn't good enough anymore. So after all that, what should you actually do? It's a lot to take in, I know, but it really boils down to a few key things you should be focusing on right now to make sure you're ready. Here's your 5-step action plan, your homework, if you will. Number 1, reclassify all of your software against that new Rule 11. 2, get your UDMed plan locked down. That May 2026 deadline is not moving. 3, start beefing up your cybersecurity documentation now. 4, reevaluate your clinical strategy, see where you might be able to use that new justification pathway. And 5, start talking to your notified body about those 24-month audits and change control plans. When we step back and look at the whole picture, this proposal is a mix of relief and some pretty serious new responsibilities. It's forcing every single medical device manufacturer in the EU market to take a hard look at their strategy. And the most important thing to remember is that you just can't afford to wait and see. The time to start adapting is right now.